She worked the overnight shift at the mall parking garage, barely noticed by anyone. Just another middle-aged woman in an orange safety vest checking tickets and directing traffic. But when she spotted the license plate sequence that made her blood run cold, 3 vehicles with diplomatic plates parked in a perfect surveillance triangle, she knew her quiet life was about to shatter. Because those weren't random shoppers. They were the same operational pattern she tracked in Beirut 15 years ago. Maria Santos adjusted her flashlight beam and pretended to check the parking meter, but her trained eyes were already cataloging every detail. The black Mercedes with diplomatic plates ending in 847. The gray BMW positioned exactly 60 feet away, with plates ending in 231. And the white Lexus, completing the triangle, plates ending in 456. The spacing wasn't coincidental. It was textbook surveillance positioning, designed to monitor every entrance and exit of the Riverside Mall without appearing connected. Most people would see 3 expensive cars parked for late-night shopping. Maria saw a kill box. She'd learned to recognize patterns like this during her 12-year career with naval intelligence, before the injury that ended everything. Before she became invisible, another face in the crowd of minimum-wage workers struggling to make ends meet. Before she traded analyzing enemy communications for collecting parking fees and sweeping cigarette butts from concrete floors. The mall had been quiet for the past 2 hours. Only a handful of cars remained in the massive 5-level garage, most belonging to the cleaning crew and a few die-hard shoppers hitting the late-night sales. Maria's shift wouldn't end until 6 a.m., which gave her plenty of time to observe without drawing attention. She pulled out her phone, pretending to scroll through social media while actually photographing the license plates. Old habits died hard, and documentation had been drilled into her during countless operations in the Mediterranean and Persian Gulf. She knew better than most that the devil lived in the details, and details kept people alive. The Mercedes driver had been inside the mall for exactly 47 minutes. She'd watched him enter through the main entrance, a tall man in an expensive coat who moved with the calculated confidence of someone accustomed to being obeyed. He hadn't bought anything, hadn't browsed, just walked the perimeter once and positioned himself near the food court with a clear view of all 3 main corridors. The BMW driver was different. Shorter, stockier, with the kind of awareness that came from military training. He'd entered 20 minutes after the Mercedes and took a position near the electronics store, where the security cameras had convenient blind spots. Maria had noticed him checking his watch every 8 minutes, the kind of precision that suggested coordinated timing. The Lexus driver hadn't entered the mall at all. He'd simply parked, adjusted his mirrors, and settled in to wait. From her position near the parking garage office, Maria could see him clearly through the windshield, occasionally speaking into what appeared to be a Bluetooth headset, but was probably something far more sophisticated. She'd seen this pattern before in a parking structure outside the American Embassy in Beirut. 3 vehicles, diplomatic immunity, surveillance triangle. That operation had ended with 7 people dead and a consulate in flames. The similarities weren't coincidental. Maria walked slowly toward the first level, maintaining the casual pace of someone doing routine security checks. Her training kicked in automatically, muscle memory overriding the ache in her damaged left knee. She noted sight lines, escape routes, potential choke points. The garage's design was tactically problematic. Too many corners, limited visibility, only 2 vehicle exits. Her radio crackled. "Santos, you copy?" The voice belonged to Jim, the security guard working the interior shift. "Copy, Jim. What's up?" "Got some weird activity in the food court. 3 guys, expensive suits, just sitting at different tables, not eating anything. Mall's supposed to close in 10 minutes, but they're not moving." Maria's blood chilled. "Can you describe them?" "Tall guy by the Chinese place, kind of foreign looking. Shorter guy near the pizza counter, built like a linebacker. And there's a third one by the coffee shop, keeps checking his phone." The pieces clicked into place with the terrible clarity of a completed puzzle. Interior surveillance team, exterior getaway vehicles, diplomatic immunity to avoid random police stops. This wasn't reconnaissance. This was the prelude to something much worse. "Jim, I need you to listen carefully," Maria said, her voice dropping to the authoritative tone she'd used when briefing admirals on enemy ship movements. "Those men are not shoppers. Quietly alert mall security and tell them to clear the building. Don't approach the men directly. Don't make it obvious. Just start the routine closing announcement 5 minutes early." "Maria, what the hell are you talking about? They're just dash." "Jim," the single word carried 15 years of authority. "Trust me on this. Clear the building. Now." She could hear the confusion in his voice, but something in her tone must have convinced him. Okay, but you better know what you're doing." Maria was already moving toward the stairwell, her mind racing through possibilities. If this was a kidnapping operation, the target would be someone important enough to justify diplomatic vehicles and professional surveillance. If it was an assassination, they'd want maximum chaos and minimal escape time. Either way, innocent people were about to become collateral damage. She reached the 3rd level and positioned herself behind a concrete pillar with a clear view of all 3 vehicles. The Lexus driver was now speaking rapidly into his communication device, probably receiving updates from the interior team. The BMW's engine was running, exhaust visible in the cold night air. The Mercedes had moved slightly, repositioning for a faster exit angle. They were preparing to execute whatever they'd spent weeks planning. Maria's phone buzzed with a text from an unlisted number. "Building cleared. Security asking questions. What's your situation?" She typed back quickly. "Hostile surveillance team. 3 vehicles, diplomatic plates. Interior team confirmed. Recommend immediate law enforcement contact." The response came within seconds. "Law enforcement compromised. Diplomatic immunity creates jurisdiction issues. Can you maintain visual?" Maria stared at the message, her training warring with her civilian instincts. She'd left this world behind 8 years ago after the IED explosion that shattered her kneecap and ended her career. She'd chosen invisibility, anonymity, the safety of being nobody special. She collected parking fees and went home to her small apartment and tried not to think about the years when her decisions affected national security. But patterns were patterns, and threats were threats, and innocent people were innocent people. She typed back. Visual maintained. "What's the play?" "Observe and report. Do not engage. Backup en route." The mall's closing announcement echoed through the garage speakers, Jim's voice trying to sound casual as he asked remaining shoppers to complete their purchases and head to their vehicles. Maria watched as a few stragglers emerged from the elevators, chatting and laughing, completely unaware that trained killers were watching their every move. The tall man from the Mercedes appeared first, walking with purpose toward the garage entrance. He moved differently now, the casual shopper facade replaced by professional efficiency. He was speaking rapidly into a phone, coordinates or timing updates that Maria couldn't hear but could interpret from his body language. The stocky man from the BMW emerged next, taking a position near the stairwell that would allow him to intercept anyone trying to reach the upper levels. His jacket hung wrong on the left side, weighted by something metallic and rectangular. The 3rd man remained invisible, but Maria knew he was there, probably coordinating from a concealed position, managing communications and timing, the kind of operational discipline that suggested military or intelligence backgrounds. Her phone buzzed again. Target identified. Senator Patricia Williams, Commerce Committee. Scheduled late dinner meeting. Parking level unknown. Maria's stomach dropped. Senator Williams chaired the committee overseeing international trade agreements, including recent sanctions against several Middle Eastern countries. She was also 3 cars away from where Maria stood, loading shopping bags into a silver Audi while chatting on her phone, completely oblivious to the death sentence hanging over her head. The operational picture crystallized with horrifying clarity. Assassination disguised as a random mall shooting. Diplomatic vehicles for clean extraction. Professional team with interior and exterior surveillance. The senator would die, along with anyone unlucky enough to be nearby, and the killers would disappear behind diplomatic immunity before local police could even respond, unless someone stopped them. Maria looked at her radio, her phone, her options. Backup was still minutes away. The senator was loading her last shopping bag. The Mercedes was moving into position. The stocky man was walking toward the Audi with his hand inside his jacket. She thought about her apartment, her quiet life, her damaged knee that ached every morning when she got out of bed. She thought about the nightmares that had finally started fading, the therapy sessions that had taught her to let go of responsibilities that weren't hers anymore. Then she thought about Senator Williams's laugh, the sound of someone who had no idea these were her final moments. Maria Santos, former lieutenant commander, Naval Intelligence, stepped out from behind the concrete pillar. "Senator Williams," she called out, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed in life-or-death situations. "Step away from your vehicle immediately. This is a security emergency." The senator looked up, confused. The stocky man froze mid-step. The Mercedes accelerated, and Maria realized that her quiet life had just ended forever. But some patterns were too dangerous to ignore, and some people were too important to lose, and sometimes a parking attendant was exactly what the world needed most.